All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, start by saying, call hello Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakudash, was to give all praises to the Heavenly Father in the name of His Son, who the world ignorantly calls God and Jesus Christ, as well as say in the name of the Holy Spirit. All right, I also want to give double honors to Elder Apostle Great Millstone real well for teaching this truth, as well as say shalom to the hopeful elect, all the Akim pushing His word in truth and in sincerity. Now, Lord willing to be edifying lesson. I just want to touch on, the hot topic right now is this J. Kevin Samuels, man, who the Lord just brought back to the spirit world. But ultimately, he's not really gonna be the main focus of this lesson. I just wanted to speak on the fact of how there's a reason why you're not supposed to be laboring, to achieve so-called success in this world. All right, scriptures talk about that laboring in vain. All right, I just made a video going into how, as the men of the Lord, how we're not laboring in vain. All right, we're not doing the work of the Lord in vain. All right, ultimately, because there's an everlasting reward that's coming. All right, the kingdom is coming. It's never going to end. Okay, and you see people who value trying to get some success on this side. During Esau's rulership. All right, Esau Edom being a so-called white man. This is all in vain. That is the vain laboring. Okay, you take a man like Kevin Samuels, who all his whole thing on his channel was about being an alpha male and being a high value man. Well, it was really a lot of the things that he was saying was correct, pertaining to the scriptures on how the dynamic and relationship between a man and a woman is supposed to be, and how women are completely out of order. All that is true, but we've been getting that. All right, we've been getting that from the Elder Apostle Great Millstone. All right, they've been teaching that for multiple decades now. Okay, so that's not nothing. He's not nothing new, and it's not. He's not. Although what he's saying is correct, he's not filtering everything he's saying through the scriptures. Okay, which is what we ought to be doing, and ultimately. He just that was just his lot. All right, his lot was to do just that. All right, it wasn't to be a man of the Lord. It wasn't to be a prophet. It wasn't to be rebuking. He was rebuking the women of our nation, man. But he wasn't talking about the so-called white man and all the other heathen nations about how they're going into slavery. Right? He wasn't telling them that there's a judgment for all the heinous crimes and all the atrocities he's done to the nation of Israel. Right? The so-called Black, Latinos, Native Americans. All right. He was so focused on trying to be accepted by the so-called white man and trying to build something in his kingdom. All right, trying to have a seat at the table, so to speak, in his kingdom, which that's never going to happen. People, and when you tell people that, again, they look at it like such a pessimistic mindset, like you're just giving up. But really, what we're telling them is that we're telling people there's something greater to come. All right, you're not giving up, but see, the reason they view it like that is because they don't have their faith in anything to come. All right, they believe that this is it, so they feel like to being optimistic would be just trying to get the best you can get on this side, man. But we're never gonna the nation of Israel is never gonna rule until we get a divine intervention. Right, until the Most High sends back his son Yahweh Shai to deliver us from out of this and establish his kingdom. All right, we're never going to be on top. We're never going to be ruling. We're subject to the curses of Deuteronomy 28 chapter. Right, you go to Deuteronomy 28 chapter in the 15th verse, all the way to the end at the 68th verse, and it tells you all the curses that will be bestowed upon the nation of Israel. Right, if we were to break the Lord's if we were to break the commandments, right, we were to break the covenant. So ultimately, that's what we're subject to until we're not. All right. So there is no possible way for us to be on top in this side. And again, that is so hard for people to come to grips with. It's so hard for people to grasp the understanding, because again, they view it like you're giving up, like, oh, you just have no hope. You're just not even trying. How can we get anywhere if you're not trying to better us? You're not trying to they say all the silly shit they say. You gotta circulate the black dollar, and you gotta build up our own communities, and none of that's ever gonna happen, man. And why is none of that ever gonna happen as well is the fact that 2/3 of our people are just wicked, man. All right, Zechariah 13th chapter and 8th verse talks about the two parts of Israel. All right, there's just not gonna come back to the Lord, all right? Ultimately, starting with the elect, the 144,000 men, as well as the 1/3 of our people who are going to return to the Lord, all right? But 2/3 of our people, they're just already, they can't receive this truth, all right? They're never going to get it, all right? And Kevin Samuels was one of those 2/3 men. All right, because ultimately, the Lord, this is the Lord's story, man, and it's gonna unfold. Scripture talk about, Isaiah the 55th chapter, I believe the 11th verse, that the word of the Lord isn't gonna go out void, man. All right, so everything that's written in these scriptures must come to pass, okay? And what's written in the scriptures is what that Revelations 13:10. All right, he that live in the captivity shall go into captivity. He who kills or must be killed with a sword, man. So that's our victory right there, man. That's how we're gonna get on top, man. It's on the Lord's time, man. It's on our time. It's on the Most High. It's on Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh's time, man. All right, it's not up to us. All right, when Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh decides to in this place, and that's when this place is gonna get ended, man. All right, and that's when we're gonna get set back on top, man. Starting again with the elect of the nation of Israel, man. The men who are turning back now, because you see, it's not just specifically about Kevin Samuels, but he's a prime example, man. Especially because it's what just happened. This was hot in the news right now, but it goes to show you that just because you're speaking some truth, if you don't have the 100% doctrine, man, you're not preaching the full truth, all right, then you're not gonna get you're not gonna have any covering, all right, over you, all right. You're just gonna get you're really just a walking dead, man. All right, you're just marked for death, because ultimately, what purpose do you have other than what you achieved, all right? Because Kevin Samuels could have kept doing that show for a century, man, and nothing would have changed, man. Why? Because the Israelite man isn't sovereign right now, all right? We don't have any true power. We're not in rulership, so he can say whatever he want. At the end of the day, man, these women were never gonna take heed. You see them now celebrating on the fact that this man that he just got put to death, man. Celebrating, they happy as hell, man, because they don't want to hear that shit, man. Ultimately, they, of course, these women are wicked, man, and there's gonna be a judgment coming for those women who are conducting themselves in that manner. But ultimately, it's not time for it yet, all right? It's very soon, though. The time of Jacob's trouble is coming very soon, man, and it's gonna get very hectic out here for a lot of these women. But let me see. Let me get some scriptures, man, because I know I'm kind of just ran a little bit. This is Psalm chapter 127, verse 1. Going into what I was speaking about laboring in vain, and as the what we're supposed to be, giving our attention to, and what our energy is supposed to be focused on, man. All right, this is Psalms 127, starting from the top, and it says, "Except Yahweh built the house, they labor in vain that build it. Except Yahweh keep the city, the watchman waketh, but in vain." Right, so it starting with the Yahweh. If Yahweh hadn't built the house, all right, then you're laboring in vain, man. All right, so ultimately, this thing that this body, this the house of David that's being risen up, all right. That's where those are the men who are actually whose works are actually going to be useful, so to speak, who's actually valuable, okay, who's actually going to get a reward for doing so. Because what are we doing, man? We're speaking into existence, man. All right, the Lord putting the spirit on men. All right, scriptures tell you Revelation 21:3 that let me grab it because I don't want to butcher it. This is Revelation chapter 21 and verse 3, and it says, "And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of the Most High is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and the Most High himself shall be with them and be their power." Right, so the tabernacle of the Most High is with men. All right, so he is putting the spirit on certain men in this time to rebuke our people, right? To actually stand for righteousness, okay? And people hate that. Ultimately, you go to Amos 5:10 and tell you, that they abhor him who they hate him who rebuketh in the gate, and abhor him who speaketh uprightly, man. All right, and that's why these women hated Kevin Samuels, man, as well as a lot of these simp niggas, man. Cause that's the only thing that pisses me off more than a bugged out, woman is the men who condone that behavior. Because ultimately, if men weren't condoning that behavior for women, man, you can best believe it won't be taking place. All right, the only reason why women are allowed to act like that is because men allow it. Ultimately, these other the rest of the 17 other heathen nations, they're not dealing with the Israelite woman. They're not dealing with that attitude. They're not dealing with all that fuck shit that she puts the Israelite man through. Okay, only reason why they're allowed to act like that is because first and foremost, well, really, it's Esau allowing them to behave in that manner, giving them, the resources and the ability and the power to do so. But first and foremost, before that, it's the Israelite man. Because of the Israelite man, Scripture talk about the wicked woman is given to the wicked man. But if you, roughly paraphrasing, but if you best believe, man, the Israelite man was just like, okay, we're no longer dealing with the Israelite woman until she gets in order, because we don't need the Israelite woman to continue our seed line, man. Scriptures talk about, the seed is a term, the man carries the seed, all right? The nation of the child is determined by the father, okay? So we don't need the Israelite woman to keep our nation going. We don't need these women, it's going to be more, but we don't need to deal with these current women, man. And that's why, it starts with the man, all right? Because if the man would just not allow women to be bugged out in the manner she is, then, if we, none of this would be an issue. But what happens, man, all the men, all the actual true austere men were removed from the household, man. And even going back further beyond that, you go back there and you read the Willie Lynch letter, and you go into the slavery and the programming of how they did how what Esau did to our people, man, and how he basically just completely destroyed the image of the Israelite man. Because you go to Mark 3rd chapter, it talks about you must first bound the strong man, all right? You want to take over that house, man, you got to get the man off the way first. And that's what he did, man. He would do things like tie each limb to 4 different horses and watch the man get tore apart, all right? Sodomizing a man in front of his family. The atrocities like that, and just horrible, horrific acts. Those type of things that diminish the respect of the Israelite man, all right? And then you give a woman, Esau establishes this infrastructure to where the woman doesn't even need the man, all right? The Esau would be her man. The government would be her man. They get all these government benefits and all these resources and so on and so forth that to the point where they don't need a man. You take something as simple as 911, all right? Something so like something like not being able to dial 911, and we're gonna see it very soon, man. When all hell gets to break loose out here, we're gonna see it. And that's why it's beautiful. And man. So let me stay on the topic. So now we take something simple, it's 911 away, man, and you can bet your ass that these women will fall in line immediately, man, because they don't understand the value of a man, or they'll understand that there's no. They really aren't as safe as they think they are, and it tells you that in 2 Thessalonians the 2nd chapter, right, 11th verse, it tells you that there's a strong delusion on our people, man, and that's one of the strongest delusions, man, is the one who's on our women to think that they don't need a man, that strong independent woman spirit. But let me get back to the point, because I'm kind of digressing a little bit, going to the woman. But a woman ultimately is supposed to be our rest, man. A woman is supposed to be, that pillar of rest, and it's supposed to be where a man gets his glory. That's why, Jake is so vexed and so fed up with the woman mainly, man. Even Jake's arguing his truth, man. You're just fed up because that's supposed to be, again, our glory, our rest. So that's where, when you take that away, and you see the Lord really had to do that, man, in order for us to be able to truly understand our transgression, for us to truly be to truly have that contrite spirit. All right, this scripture talk about. All right, Psalms 34 chapter. All right, really it goes into that contrite spirit that we're supposed to have, man, and be repentant. All right, because ultimately we wouldn't understand, because the Lord likens us to his woman, man, in the scriptures. Okay, what's that? Isaiah 54 and 5, I believe, talks about that maker's like husband. Jeremiah 6 and 2 goes into how the Lord likens us to a calm, delicate woman. But it's the same. That's how we're viewed. Or that's how the Lord views us. So just he had to show us that look what happens when I take your glory away. Look what happens when I make your women go off, man. Look how stressed you are. Look how vexed you are. Look at the utter chaos that descends from that, man. Just caused from that lack of order, man. That was scripture, let it be done decently and in order, man. All right. It says that the Most High is not the author of confusion, man. And that's what that leads to. It leads to a bunch of confusion. But I kind of got a topic a little bit just to kind of bring it full circle. Just the fact of everything that is anything that you're doing is not in this truth, man. Any type of labor you're doing outside of this truth, ultimately just a vain thing, man. And you see now, like I said, like I was going into. All right, this man Kevin Samuels, he did all those years, he was what, 50 something, 56 when he got took out of here. So, and what did he always say? All right, he always went into the fact that that a man doesn't really hit his stride, in this world until his late 40s, early 50s, right? That's when he becomes a so-called high value man. Well, look what it got you, man. You got to live a decent life for a couple years, man, for a few years. So ultimately, it was all for nothing, man. You spent your whole time here trying to make yourself something in this place, and now you're out of here. And now he's in his right mind. Now he's in the spirit world. His body went back into the ground, and his, and the spirit went back to him who gave it. So, ultimately, he's in his right mind now. But he wastes all those years just incomplete and just complete vanity, man. All right, and the men of the Lord, all right, who actually given diligence to make their call and election sure, man. Those are the men who are actually laboring for reward, man, or for that incorruptible crown, man. Let me grab that, because this is really the only thing of value, man. This is the only thing that is actually gonna you pay off. As gonna have a reward that pays off, man. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 9 and verse 25, and it says, "And every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible." Right? So all the diligence that Kevin Samuels gave to being a so-called high value man in this world, and being making 6 figures or 7 figures or whatever, however much he was making, he did all that for nothing, man. Like, ultimately it was all for a corruptible crown. You say the same thing for any of these celebrities and these different entertainers and athletes. Like, all crowns are corruptible, man. All right. You're not actually storing up your treasures in heaven, all right, which is the everlasting kingdom, all right, the incorruptible crown, man, that the elect of the nation of Israel is going to receive. What else do I want to grab? This is Matthew chapter 6 and verse 19, and it says, "Lay up not for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also, man. So see, if you truly value this ministry, you truly value the pushing this word and learning and eating the whole roll and teaching the whole roll, that's when that's where your heart is gonna lie, man. All right, that's where ultimately you're gonna actually that's where your time, your energy is gonna go to. That's where your mind is gonna be. That's where your spirit is gonna be, man. All right, you go to that word heart in the Hebrew is la'ab, and it goes to your mind, man. That's where your heart is. That's where that's where your mind is. Whatever your treasure is, that's where your mind is gonna be at, man. All right, that's where your focus is gonna be. That's where you're gonna make a priority. All right, and pushing this word, learning this word and then pushing this word. That's supposed to be our priority. This is 1 John chapter 2 verse 15. It says, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him, man. All right, and Kevin Samuels loved this world, man. All right, ultimately, all right, all he did was try to figure out how to gain, further himself in this place. When the scriptures tell you, man, just in the Lord's Prayer, man, just ask if it's just daily bread, man. That's all we're focused on, is getting our daily bread, just to get by and be able to provide for ourselves and, family, if you have children and so on, and a woman and so on and so forth. But ultimately, man, this is not our rest. All right, Micah 2:10 tells you this is not our rest. All right, it says, arise ye and depart, but this is not our rest, man. We're never going to get rest on this side, Jake. We're not going to get until we're in the kingdom, okay? That everlasting kingdom, all right? Yahweh Shai's kingdom, right? When we're in rulership, all right? That's when we're going to get our rest, man. Not now. Any type of laboring you do on this side is all vanity, man. It's not to any benefit of you. You see, again, all those years, man, and just get taken out of here. All right. So, I'm kind of beating a dead horse at this point, man. Love when the point was made. All right. And it was edifying. All right. I want to give all praise, honor, glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai by Hashem Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles, great millstone. Shalom to the hopeful elect. Shalom.